All right, ladies, Judy Weber here with Libby Girl Radio, and I am so super excited to have with me Rachel Ngome. And if you do not know that name, oh my goodness, you are going to be so glad that we brought her to the show, because we're going to be talking about something that nobody else is talking about in the entire real estate industry, and that is the power of Pinterest. And that is where Rachel shines. And I just want to give a very, very brief introduction to this beautiful woman that we're going to be talking with. She, went from being on food stamps and negative $400 in her checking account to a multiple six-figure online entrepreneur. And her passion in her heart is to help ladies like us build a business that we love and a business that is thriving. And to give you an idea of, well, should I really listen to Rachel? She has 17,000 followers and 850,000 plus monthly views. So yes, let me introduce Rachel to you ladies.
Oh, hi. Thank you for that.
Oh my goodness, you're so welcome. Well, listen, I have to admit, Rachel, that I'm behind on Pinterest. We are just getting our own Pinterest page up. And so I think I'm not alone with the ladies that are going to be listening to this podcast. So I thought we'd start from the very beginning and say, why should real estate agents, a business that's so local, why do we need to care about Pinterest?
Do you want to get free leads? Let me ask you that.
Love it. Love it. Okay. Tell me more.
It's literally it's a lead generation machine that you could set and put on autopilot. It's a way for you to attract your ideal client into your business. And so if you want to create a simpler system to generate new leads on autopilot for free, then you need to be using Pinterest.
Okay. Excellent. And I want to be clear too on this, because I was kind of, had this all confused. Pinterest is not a social platform per se, right?
No.
It is a search engine, right? And that's the power of it.
Exactly. It's a search engine just like Google. So if you can figure out what your ideal client is searching for, you will dominate. So I was writing a blog post about how to use Pinterest as a real estate agent, because we've been searching we're moving, we live in France right now, we're moving to the Jacksonville, Florida area. And as I'm searching for like homes in Jacksonville or reasons to move to Jacksonville, there's not anything popping up from real estate agents. And I'm like, this is prime that like you could get me to be your client and nobody's taking advantage of it. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's just like wide open opportunity right now.
Okay, excellent. And we're going to get to that in a second, because with your permission, I would love to kind of walk through some tips that you give on your website, which ladies, you've got to go. It's Rachel's name, Rachel Ngome, RachelNGOM.com. And there's so much amazing free content. And one was like this marketing tips cheat sheet, which, you just got to download all this stuff and just study. Okay. All right. So, here's an interesting fact. Okay. I saw this on your website, and it's worth sharing to, again, convince the ladies that they need to be on Pinterest. 47% of Pinterest users are more likely to have a significant life event in the next 6 months.
Yep. So they're on Pinterest searching for when they're buying a house, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because these life events trigger a purchase or sale of a home, graduating high school, graduating college, moving up, moving down, retiring, that's just excellent. Okay. So let's start with tip number 1, creating helpful content.
Yeah.
It can be overwhelming looking at the screen and typing and saying, oh my gosh, what am I going to write about? So can you help us get started on that?
Yeah. So think about what would be helpful for your person who's moving or relocating to the area. So maybe best schools in Jacksonville, Florida, or best family-friendly areas to live in Jacksonville, Florida, or like top 10 reasons to move to Jacksonville, Florida. Like just think about all these different things that your ideal client might be searching for. Because this is literally, as my husband and I are trying to figure out, because I have an online business, we can live anywhere in the world. And right now we're in France and we're like, let's see, where in America should we be? Let's look at, so we've literally been searching all these other places. And now we're looking at houses in Jacksonville. And so literally just get in the head of your ideal client and think, when they're on Pinterest, what are they searching for? But also know that pins show up in Google image search as well. So they could be searching these things on Google. And if they're looking at images of Jacksonville, Florida beaches and that kind of thing, you could show up there too.
Wow. Okay. That's excellent. And on Rachel's site, she has these examples, a couple of which that she gave, like 3 things you need to know before moving to insert name of your city here.
Yep.
I mean, that's really good stuff. So, and I guess, something that we've been telling our clients and students is they need to do videos. So we're thinking about like 5 tips to, get your home ready for sale, or, big mistakes home buyers make, don't make them, something like that. So is it that kind of content also that could work in Pinterest as well?
Yeah, totally. Because people are searching for that as well.
Okay. So, all right. Excellent. It's all about the search and getting, like you said, in the mind of the person that you want, your ideal client.
Exactly.
Right? Okay. Excellent. All right. Tip number 2, and this is where I have to admit I'm lost. I'm totally lost. And that's all about keywords.
Yes.
So, and then there's metadata and whatever the heck that is. Okay. So can you just give us like a simple 101 tutorial on keywords and what we need to think about when we think about our content and our awesome topic, our search engine topic and phrase, and what that means in the way of keywords?
Okay. So a word would be like house, right? And then a long tail keyword is what we're using on Pinterest. And so let's use an example, buying a house in New York or something like that, or buying real estate in New York. So that would just be an example of a long tail keyword. And so it's just like a short phrase, and it's what people are actually searching for. So when you're on Pinterest, you can start typing, and whatever you're typing, Pinterest will start to autofill it. And whatever it's autofilling, that's literally what people are searching for. And those longer phrases are what you want to use on Pinterest. In your pin description, you could use it in your Pinterest boards, all over the place, because you can use keywords everywhere on Pinterest. Mm-hmm. But the key is to use those more specific long tail keywords, and that's what's going to help you rank towards the top of Pinterest.
Okay, now I'm going to be cutting this out for the podcast because I'm also on video, and I would love it if I could allow you to share your screen. And
Sure.
Can you give us that quick example?
Yeah.
If you move your cursor and that green button, I think there, the arrow.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
Okay, great. I'm so excited. Are you seeing it? Oh,
okay.
Awesome.
So let's give an example of, so we'll just do like home. And when you search that, there's going to be like 500 million things that pop up. And these tiles are also other keywords that you could use. Let's get a little bit more specific and do buying a house checklist in, let's see, your 20s, in California, in New York. So this is literally what people are searching for. And so you want to use these long tail keywords, and that way you're going to show up. So you could start typing in New York, in Nashville, buying a house in Nashville. And you could just see there's some people doing it, but there's a few people that are doing this right, but there's so much opportunity here.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
There's so much opportunity.
Okay. So I'm a lawyer, and so my mind, I take things literally. So, but when you say a long tail keyword, you are having spaces between them. So it's not like it's all shlushed. It's just words that smushed together.
No, it's just the literal phrase. So in this example, it's just how you would say it, buying a house in Nashville.
Okay. Excellent. All right. That's super. And then what does that mean about the metadata? Let me back up. Those keywords help you to know what to write about. Because if I understood what you just said, when you're typing that in, the most popular searches is what we're seeing. Is that right?
Exactly.
So far? Okay. And so then if we say, okay, great, buying a home in your 20s is like really popular. So I'm going to write on that.
Yep.
So should that same keyword, long tail keyword, be in the title and the description? Like, how does all that work? Should it be everywhere?
I would use that long tail keyword in the pin description for sure. And then you could use that headline on the pin. So I recommend having text on the pin itself, and that's going to help it stand out. So you could have that text on the pin be buying a house in your 20s or whatever. But make sure you put it in the pin description. That's going to be the most important place for you to put it.
Okay, excellent. All right. All right. Tip 3, creating quality pins.
Yep.
Make sure your pins tell a story.
Yep.
Can you help us get a little bit more on that?
Yeah, so let me actually share my screen here and you can see. So a lot of these pins they're literally just like little square pins of the house. And so you're seeing it's like an open house. Let me see if I can actually give an example of the pin that I created. Pinterest for real estate. And so we want the pins to be long and skinny, and we just make that on Canva. It's easy peasy. I'm not a graphic designer, and I could figure this out. Like anyone can do this. All right. So when I'm searching on Pinterest, this is basically what I was seeing of houses for sale in Florida. And so all of them were just like a little picture of the house, and that was it.
Gotcha.
This was the only one that I found that was doing a good job. And it just says remodeled homes for sale in Wellington, Florida. And I was like, okay, that's decent. If I were to create it, I gave an example of these 20 reasons to move to Jacksonville, Florida. And it also includes a free moving checklist. And so that way you can build your email list of potential buyers, right? The ultimate guide to moving to Jacksonville, Florida. So these are just some examples. You want the text to be big and bold. You want to include some bold colors on there too. You want the text to be easy to read. And I always say you want it to be stop the scroll worthy. So think about Pinterest users. They're on their phone 80% of the time. You want them to see it and then stop their scroll and think, okay, what is this about? And then click through and read more.
Okay, that's interesting. And I see that your pins, Rachel, and I'm sorry, those on Livy Girl Radio, you'll have to come to YouTube and see the video, but I'm seeing a really subtle picture of, the palm trees in the house, but what's singing is the words, and that's where it's important on Pinterest, right?
Exactly, because the text is going to stand out more than just the picture.
Okay, right, okay. But I do love that background. That definitely has power. Yeah. Okay. And now here's a silly question, but again, we're going back to tutorial 101 here. Okay. We'll say it's for dummies, but I'm not calling my ladies dummies. Let's call me the dummy. But all right. So the free moving checklist, for example, on the 20 reasons to move to Jacksonville, Florida. So that pin, when they click on the pin, they're going to be taken to your blog or a landing page.
So I would take them to the blog. And then on your blog, that's where you can add value to them.
Okay, tell us more about that because I'm sorry, because I think that now I've lost some of my audience, and let me explain.
Sure.
We as real estate agents, and I'm sure from just your life experience, that we're running around doing 10,000 different things. And so even in my mind, I'm thinking a landing page that might just offer the checklist and the reasons to move will be a heck of a lot easier than doing blogs. All of a sudden now I'm getting overwhelmed. Help me, what tips do you have in blogging, and how often? Is once a week enough?
Once a week for sure. But I want you to think, how many real estate agents are out there? There's quite a few, right?
Yeah.
So why would someone pick you over Sally? How are you going to stand out? You're going to stand out by adding more value than Sally does. So if I come to this blog post and you're teaching me and telling me all these things about moving to Jacksonville, and I see, okay, there is a place where I can get this free moving checklist too, you've already warmed me up without having to do anything on your part. This is all automated. And so by the time I enter my email and get that free checklist, I'm like, sweet, this was so helpful. And then you could email me again. Oh, hey, are you moving to the area? Do you need help? You could create this whole nurture sequence, really warming them up. That's completely automated.
Mm-hmm. And that's a great point, because once this blog is written and once this pin is done so beautifully, it will live forever, right? Mm-hmm. On your Pinterest, and will forever come up on the search engines.
Yeah. Like years later, I have pins still driving traffic to my blog from April 2015.
Wow. Yeah. 3+ years.
Yeah.
Almost 4 years. Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. Let's see what else. You already showed that, so that's super duper. All right. How about boards? Let's talk a little bit about boards. How many should we have, especially for real estate? What ideas and tips do you have for us?
I would think about what is going to add value to your person. Could you become kind of like a go-to resource for the area? And so you can include stuff about moving, but you could also include like local restaurants or kid activities. Just like think about all the different things that you could add value to that person who's looking to move, right? So fun things to do in Jacksonville, Florida. All those different things. So with mine, obviously I teach Pinterest, but my boards add value to my ideal client. So I also have boards here about launching an online course or female entrepreneur tips or social media marketing tips. And so all of it here is just, I'm thinking what's going to add the most value to my person. And then I create content around that. And I'm not actually creating all the content that's going on these boards, by the way. I have one specific board that's my blog post boards, and that's where I put all my content. I put them on the other boards too, but my blog post board is only my stuff. Because a lot of people get overwhelmed and they think I need to have 500 million boards and then I have to create all these pins to fill them up. That doesn't have to be you creating pins for the other boards. You can literally just repin stuff and put them there.
Okay, let's talk about a couple things piecemeal. And I appreciate you indulging me because I kind of sort of get what you're saying. I always say I know enough about Pinterest to be dangerous, but not strategic. And so I appreciate your indulgence there. So I love the idea of just sitting down and putting pen to paper on, first of all, what's important to my target client? Like my perfect client, who is it? What does she or he look like? You know, where do they work? What's important to them? What magazines do they read? What do they want to do when they're not working? And kind of add value to that so that it's kind of like the whole person. Like if you're like, for me, my ideal client when I sold real estate would be a professional woman, you know, in her 30s, 40s, or 50s who has kids and often a single mom. So just that whole picturing that one person, I think, I found that to kind of be the key to figuring her out.
Exactly. For everything that you do in your business. So key. Whenever you're writing an email or like anything, it's for that one person.
Okay. Excellent. All right. So I putting that person, almost like picturing your perfect client, picturing, I'd love 10,000 of these.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, okay. Now tell me about the repinning. And can you refresh me again? We're looking at your page, and thank you for sharing that again. So do I understand correctly that the only board that is your content that I'm looking at here was my blog post and everything else is repinned?
Yes, although I do add some of my own pins to these boards as well. And so this one is online course launch tips. This is my pin. This is my pin. So I am adding some of my stuff here, but I'm also repinning other people's content. And I primarily do this through Tailwind. And so Tailwind is a Pinterest scheduling app, and it's amazing. I spend the least amount of time on Pinterest out of any other platform, and you can automate everything within Tailwind.
Wow. Okay. So I'll address Tailwind in one moment, or maybe it's part of this question, which is, how do I know that I should pin something else? Like, for example, you know, there might be a fellow blogger in my neck of the woods who's speaking about restaurants that are amazing, or even a food critic that I'm like, whoa, I've got to pin that. But how do I know that I can pin that? Is it all fair game? And you may like, oh, Judy, you really don't know Pinterest. But really, I want to start at the very, very basics here.
Yeah, I would pin it because I mean that the other person, they might see it. So if you leave a comment on a pin, why not use Pinterest as a place where you could build a relationship with other vendors that are local? And so that way you really get to become known as that go-to real estate person in your community. And so you can create a group board collaborating with other local vendors too. But I would definitely be repinning their stuff, leaving a comment, kind of acknowledging what they're doing. That would be a great way to add value to your ideal person, and then maybe get on their radar too.
Right. Okay. So we'll talk about collaboration in just a bit, but I'm really intrigued by Tailwind because that has been an app that is on my list of things to check out. And I thought, as you said, it's a scheduling tool, but yet it kind of sort of sounded like you also use Tailwind to find other posts that?
Yes. So Tailwind is a scheduling tool, but it also has a thing called Tailwind Tribes. And Tailwind Tribes is just a way for you to collaborate with other users on Pinterest and share each other's content. And it's kind of like a win-win. So you're going to help them get more views. They're going to help you get more views. And so within each tribe, you're uploading a pin to the tribe, and then you share a pin out of the tribe. And so you can see with each tribe, you're going to get, let's just look at some of these. It's going to tell you, okay, this tribe has helped me reach 4.7 million people.
Oh, wow. I see that. Okay.
Yeah.
In the lower left. Yeah. Wow. So how many different tribes are you a part of, or is there any limit?
Depends on if you want the free or there's like certain levels. So I started with the free plan. I think you get 5 free. And I quickly realized how awesome this was and how my reach was increasing through Tailwind. I mean, I've signed up private clients they found me on Tailwind, which is really cool. So it's just another visibility tool. I have unlimited with Tailwind. So now I'm in, I think like 35, 38 tribes.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so for a real estate agent, what search would you suggest they put into Tailwind to find the best tribe? I imagine it would have the name of the city or the region that they're in.
That's what I would do. Yeah. And also know that tribes it's a pretty new feature. And so it's only been open to the public it's been less than a year. I'm trying more than 6 months, less than a year. So if you don't see one for your area, create one. And then people are going to come.
Yeah.
So new. So why not be the trailblazer for that area?
Okay. Can you give us an example since you're in the search? Like I don't
Sure.
even know what I would put in. So for the Jacksonville, Florida example.
Well, let's
you're doing New York, that's fine.
Wandering the Northeast, Greater New York City area, Gardens of Syracuse, insider travel tips. Real estate across the US and Canada, home improvements, DIY decor, buying a home, first-time home buyers. I mean, there's a lot that you can do here.
Okay. Can we just for fun put in Jacksonville, Florida and see what we get?
I highly doubt there is one. Florida Travel Tribe. So there is something. But again,
would you suggest that someone, if I'm an agent in Jacksonville and I know
I would create it for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why not?
Okay. So again, would the tribe name, and I'm sorry if I'm making you nutty, but would it be a similar name to what we talked about with content, like best places to eat in Jacksonville, awesome family events in Jacksonville? Would that be the name of a tribe, or is it more general than that?
I would keep it more general.
Okay.
Yeah. So maybe like things to do in Jacksonville, or moving to Jacksonville, or living in Jacksonville, that kind of thing.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. Now, let's talk for a moment about repurposing pins.
Yeah.
Because I heard from several other people, you and I have a mutual coach, and we'll throw a shout out to Stacy Tushel.
Woo!
We love you, Stacy. About the same podcast or the same blog post, and you can have more than one pin graphic for that.
Totally.
Talk about that if you would.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a way for you to reuse your content and get more people seeing it. So when you create a blog post, instead of just creating one pin, why don't you create 5 or 10?
Oh, that many. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, especially as you have more and more content, you can create so many different pins. In the beginning, I was literally just testing different color schemes of what's going to get the most repins, what's going to convert the best. And then once I figured that out, I'm like, okay, now I'm going to test different headlines. And so for every blog post you do, why not create 5 different headlines, or change the background image, or just do something different. And you can even change the pin description if you want to. And that's just going to give you more use out of that one blog post.
Okay. Can we go to your page for just one more second? Since we're sharing the screen, that would be so awesome. And you talked about different color schemes, and I see that yours is very consistent with that beautiful mauvey, pinkish color and white and black. So did you and she's making an impact, which I love. I love the name of your business.
Thank you.
So is everything now focused on those colors because you found those to be the ones that converted the best, or?
So I picked the colors and then I put them. So for some of the pins, I did like red as that background color. Or let me see this one is like an older pin from over a year ago. And I was testing the red as the background color. And I was testing how like using the image as the background, or putting a border on it and seeing how that worked, or seeing how it worked with me as a background. And so you can see, like, I tried all these different, like, just little tweaks to see what would work the best. And having that red bar in the middle, it just makes it pop a little bit more. So I tried like this style where I had like a complete graphic in the back too, or having an overlay. So I mean, there's like so many different things, or having black at the top that I tried. And this one I tested, I'm like, I've never seen an emoji on a pin. I wonder how that would work. So I copy and pasted emojis and put them on my pin, because like literally just have fun with this and test it out and just become like a scientist. It's kind of like if someone's ever done Facebook ads, you just keep testing and testing and testing and testing and testing to see what's going to convert the best. So that's literally what I've done. And now you can see, like, that's pretty much what I stick with for the most part. And then I just change the headlines.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. So let's talk about, do you batch your work here on Pinterest, or when you, well, let me back up. I'm stuttering on myself. Pinterest, as you said, you spend least time on that than anything else that you're doing. So help us to understand, in any given week, what does your social media / Pinterest content creation and posting, what does that look like for you?
Every week, I create a blog post. I do the things that only I can do. So I create the content. I suppose you could hire a content writer if you wanted, but I like doing it. And then I have our social media girl on our team. She creates and uploads a new pin every day of the week. So she's doing that. And then I have a guy in the Philippines who is taking over my Tailwind. And so he's repinning everything on Tailwind and filling up that queue. And that's it.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's really neat. Now, before you had the help out of country, you know, that was you. I imagine that you did that, or your
yeah.
sister.
So I would just pick a day where, I mean, it doesn't take long to duplicate images in Canva. You press a button, create a new headline, press a button, create a new headline. So, I mean, it could take you less than an hour a week to get everything done. If you're efficient, you can do it in like 20 minutes, literally.
Okay. And I think, like everything else, if some of the ladies out there like myself are not doing this now, it feels like, oh my gosh, overwhelmed. But again, it's step by step by step. Yep. So, okay. So it's creating the content, making sure you do the research on what is really going to grab the attention of your perfect client. Yep. And then creating a graphic or a bunch of graphics and having fun with the different headlines, because the blog post stays solid. It's everything else that may change.
Yep,
too.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay. Excellent. All right. Let's talk about branding and how Pinterest can be so important for branding, because it is such a visual platform.
Yeah. So, I mean, you want to make sure that you stick with your color scheme and put your logo on your pins. And I mean, pretty soon you're going to gain that brand recognition. So someone actually just took one of my pins and posted it in a Facebook group, and people recognized it right away because they knew it was mine. And they tagged me and said, I've been through Rachel's Pin with Purpose course and I loved it. It was amazing. I was like, oh, thank you. But they knew it was mine because they recognized my brand. And so in Canva, if you have Canva for work, you can literally just save all the colors that you're using. We have like 5 colors we're using with our brand. You can save your logo. Let me just show you Canva, because it's so like,
I love Canva. And
what would I do without it?
Yes, yes. And the free version isn't bad. You know, you don't necessarily have to get the paid version, but
it's worth it though. It saves so much time.
Yeah, it is. What is it? $5. It's not much.
It's not much. It's so worth it. So, I mean, you can literally just create this pin, and in here you can have your fonts that are saved, your color scheme is saved, everything is done the way you want it. And then you just hit duplicate, and then it creates another one, and then duplicate, and you can save them all in once. Easy.
Easy peasy. And it's just getting started.
Yeah.
Really about just
literally the hardest part is getting it all set up. And then once it's set up, it's automated. Like it's easy.
Okay.
It's so much lower maintenance than think of like Instagram. You have to post every single day and create all this new stuff, and then no one even sees your content. Like this, you're in so much more control by using keywords, and it's working for you over time.
Okay. Before we talk about the biggest mistakes you made that now that you wished you would have known back when you began, I want to, gosh, I lost my train of thought. Isn't that awful?
It happens.
You'll learn when you're over 50 in the menopausal brain.
I call it mom brain. Like that's a legit thing. Yes.
All right. Well, let's just jump over to what I was going to talk about. The biggest mistakes that you've made, which you're like, oh my goodness, if only I would have known from the beginning.
In terms of Pinterest?
In terms of Pinterest and trying things, and gosh, I wish I would have known that before, and I would have saved myself time.
So my first business was in the fitness space, and I wish I would have niched down sooner. And so for the longest time, I was creating just general health and fitness content, and it was kind of all over the place. And I looked at my Google Analytics, which every blog should have Google Analytics on it, so you know what's working and what's not. And I realized that my blog posts that were about eating high fat, low carb, keto, and intermittent fasting was getting by far the most traffic, and it was coming from Pinterest. And I just kind of had this light bulb moment of, what if my entire blog focus was keto and intermittent fasting? And so I completely switched, and all my blog content was about keto and intermittent fasting. I created my freebie, it was like my keto grocery list or my keto meal plan or whatever. And then I created a keto ebook that I sold. And because I built up so much traffic from Pinterest and built my email list, the day I launched that ebook, I made $1,000 and crashed my website, because so many people were trying to buy it. And that's a quality problem. So I had to get more hosting, pay more in hosting, which is a quality problem. But I wish I would have niched down sooner. And that's where a lot of people kind of get stuck. I feel they try to like these lifestyle blogs, and they're all over the place. But think about the Pinterest user. They're searching for something specific. And if they come to your blog and it's just general content, they're going to go back to Pinterest. But if they come to your blog and it's all about that one thing they were searching for, they're going to be like, oh, sweet. Like I just stumbled upon a gold mine. Like what else can I learn from this person?
That's excellent. Now let's take that into real estate, because I totally agree that the more niche down you are, the more clear your marketing message is, and the more easily you're going to be found by your perfect client. But let's say you, or as a real estate agent, you want to focus in the luxury market, as well as maybe single moms buying homes, which may be super, super niche down. But I think that I think that would be a very, very good niche. So would each one of those be a separate board so that you could go down both roads?
Definitely a separate board. They're completely different ideal clients too.
Yes. Yeah.
So I mean, when they come to your blog, maybe you have it segmented where, like, oh, are you looking for luxury homes? Click here and download this free checklist. Are you a single mom looking to buy a house? Click here to download this free checklist. So just have it segmented a little bit so they feel like you're speaking to them.
Right. And that's what I was alluding to. Like, so would you recommend you having 2 Pinterest accounts? One for each, or do you think it's a matter of just keeping the boards and again segmenting the blog post? Because I know there are a bunch of ladies who love, for example, working with first-time home buyers, but of course there are beautiful things going on in the luxury market as well. So that's what I speak to agents every day, and I hear that, they want to do both things.
Ideally, you pick one and you run with it. Like ideally, that's what I'm working with people all the time, and they're like, but I want to do all the things. And I'm like, just pick one thing and do that one thing really well and become known for that one thing. If you have to like do all the other stuff too, I don't want to tell you to have more than one Pinterest board, because it's going to be content that's geared for the area. I think it would just be too overwhelming for that person. And when you're overwhelmed, you end up doing nothing. Complexity is the enemy of execution. So I would just think, how could you keep it simple?
Love it. And that's so true. Simplicity, because
Yeah.
the more different things, the more confused the person's going to be, and they're just going to go somewhere else, right?
Yeah,
So
they're just going to be like, screw this, I'm done.
all right, that's very, very good advice, and it's so hard to take.
Yeah,
But it's kind of like take your medicine because it's worthwhile.
exactly. Yeah.
That's excellent, Rachel. All right, let's talk for a moment about Google Analytics.
Mm.
And I remembered what I was going to talk about before, which is if you can kind of help us better understand the search engine within Pinterest, but also how in the regular Google search engine, your Pinterest stuff is going to appear. And then walk us through, if you would, kind of Google Analytics and how do we even monitor it? Because I'm not a numbers person. So I know I look at my Google Analytics and I look for our person to help me make sense of it, because I'm really kind of, like, my brain doesn't work that way.
Totally.
So can you help us a little bit on that?
For sure. Let me show you Google Analytics. So you need to have there's 14 people on my fitness blog that I haven't touched in a year at this very moment, which is crazy. Okay, so you can look at real time to see how many people are actually on your blog right now. That doesn't really matter that much to me. I typically look at acquisition, and then I go to overview. And I like to see where are these people coming from. And so you can search up here by the date. And I like to look at it for the past 30 days. And then you can see, like, how are users trending? Where are they coming from? And so you can see 26,000 people from the past 30 days came from searching on Google for something. And then 41,000 people came from social. And if you click on that, it's going to break it down even more. And so you can see 40,000 of them came from Pinterest.
Look at that. Wow. Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can look at source medium. There's a bunch of different stuff. So you can see they're coming from Pinterest here.
Yeah. And Google. Mm-hmm.
And Google. There's a bunch of different things you can look at in here. So that's the one that I like to look at the most. Referrals, let's see. It's interesting to see all these. I'm like, how are people still finding me on Facebook, which is crazy. So
they're finding you on the Australian Pinterest page. I see.
I know, it's so crazy. So, I mean, this is literally just something you can play around with. When I went to landing pages, this is showing me where they're landing on. So the Ultimate Guide to Intermittent Fasting for Women is my #1 blog post. And the second one is my Keto Peanut Butter Fat Bombs, which is really good. You should go make them.
Wow.
And then the third one is Endomorph Diet Tips. And you can see with all of these are very specific keyword terms. So intermittent fasting for women is the keyword I was using for this. Mm-hmm. Keto peanut butter fat bombs is what I was using for the second one. And endomorph diet tips is what I was using for the third one.
Wow. So
they're very specific.
Yep. Not being afraid to get specific.
Niche it down, like almost niche it until it hurts. Like people are like, what's an endomorph? And I'm like, people are searching. If you study like how to eat for your body type, there's endomorph, ectomorph, mesomorph, something else. So I don't even remember. I wrote this like over a year ago, but people are searching for that. And the people who are endomorphs are the ones who are like a little thicker. And they're like, I need help. I'm an endomorph. Do you have any endomorph diet tips? Mm-hmm. So don't be afraid to do something that is super niche. People are searching for it and it's going to add up over time for sure.
Okay. So can we brainstorm in real estate?
Yeah.
Can we, since you're, keyed in on the Jacksonville thing, I mean, you're a beautiful, example of the kind of client we might want.
Yeah.
So we talked a little bit before about what you were looking for, but we always tell our clients, you don't want to just be the real estate expert. Who needs that? You want to be the overall expert, almost like the mayor or the celebrity of your town. Mm-hmm. So let's just brainstorm just for even a minute or two about when we're talking about niching down, what that will look like for real estate.
Okay. So things that I was searching because we were like, where the heck should we be? And we're like, Probably in Florida, there's no state income tax. We lived there before. As long as we're not in the country with all the frogs and flies, we should be okay. Let's get closer to the coast in a bigger city. So we're moving to Florida. And then tips for moving to Florida with kids.
Okay.
This is good. Okay, moving to Florida with kids. Let's say living in Florida. Tips. Realtor. Oh, look. This person's doing it. Realtor in Florida.
Yeah.
Okay, there's one person, but you can see people actually can pop up too, and you can use keywords in your name.
And then what does that look? What do you mean by that? Real keywords.
Her. So if I click on this person, her name is Realtor in Florida.
Gotcha.
Okay, so you can use keywords there too. Yeah.
Okay. And so she only has 193 followers, and yet she came up. So that's interesting.
Yep. Okay, so if I'm going to search Jacksonville, Florida, what you can see here, these tiles are other keywords you could use. So living in Jacksonville, Florida could be a search term that you do. Things to do in Jacksonville, Florida. Right. Attractions in Jacksonville, Florida. Homes in Jacksonville, Florida. Moving to Jacksonville, Florida. Maybe moving to Jacksonville, Florida with kids, apartments in Jacksonville, Florida, best neighborhoods in Jacksonville, Florida. Do you see how many different things that you could do?
That is excellent. And so, from now on, when we're talking with our clients and they're like, what do I write about? I'll say, look, Pinterest is your friend.
Totally.
Is your friend. And am I right that Tailwind also has this kind of searching for you to know what subjects to be writing about or what?
I don't use it.
You don't use that?
Okay. I don't. Yeah. A lot of times I'm just searching on Pinterest.
Gotcha. And then let's go on to the Google side then. So should I be worrying at all about doing a separate search term on keywords for Google? Like if I'm in real estate, is there a real estate keywords that Google suggests, or is it again just very specific to the cities and regions that you serve?
So this is a whole other beast, and I almost don't want to confuse people by talking about Google keywords and Pinterest keywords because they're different. But if you're searching, I'll give you an example: intermittent fasting for women. So if I'm searching for this, you can see on images. Okay, so this is mine. This is my client who uses the same keyword. This is my pin. That's my blog. That's her blog, her blog. So we're literally dominating this space of intermittent fasting for women. Gotcha. So that's just on Pinterest. So you could use those keywords and they're going to show up on Google. And that's the simplified version. I don't want to overwhelm people too much because this is a lot.
Yeah, no, that's good. But I really have amazing value just from the searching of Pinterest. And I love those extra blocks like, okay, add this word, talk about this. That's awesome. All right. We're winding down on time. Wow. This has been so great, Rachel. What, any other big mistakes that you're like, wow, I could just knock myself and say, what in the heck? How could I not have known that before?
Well, I'll talk about a mistake I see people make is they're worried on the Pinterest side and they're not thinking about how their blog is optimized for that Pinterest traffic. So you want to make sure it's crystal clear where they can get on your email list. And you want to give away something that's kind of juicy that's going to actually cause them to give you their email list, not subscribe for updates or subscribe to our newsletter because nobody cares. What's something that you can give away in exchange that's going to add value to them? And you got to make sure that call to action, it's everywhere in your blog. I'll actually share my screen with you so you can see my blog. It's all over the place.
So would it be multiple calls to action throughout the blog?
Yes, you have to. I mean, people are going to miss the first one. At first, we have a pop-up, this one. So I'll just let this stay here so you can kind of see what this looks like. Yep. This converts at like over 50%, I believe, which is really good for an opt-in.
Yeah, I
So
mean, it's amazing. 10 hacks that increase your traffic by 34,000 a month. Yeah, that's awesome.
right? Yeah. I also have it in the header, so above the fold before people even scroll down. So you want most people when they're coming from Pinterest, they don't even land on this page right away. So the most important thing is to make sure that the blog post itself is optimized. And so by that, I mean, let's actually look at a blog post just as a sample. I have too many tabs open. Okay, 7 things all successful bloggers do. Okay, so within this post, I act as if the person coming from Pinterest, they don't know who the heck I am. They just search for something on Pinterest. They don't know me from boo. Mm-hmm. So I take this time here to let people know that I have other blog posts that's going to help them that's related to what they were looking for.
Okay, that's excellent. So you kind of interrupt the blog post with a little pseudo commercial. Okay, love it.
A little bit, just so they get to stick around and they know, oh, she's got so much other stuff that's going to help me. Mm-hmm. Here, I tell them to register for my Pinterest masterclass where I'm going to teach them more. And then the blog post itself, it's adding a lot of value. It's broken up by headlines. I included some screenshots and videos in there. And I tell people, like, what's the next step? Register for my free Pinterest class. And then I have another call to action here as well. But you have to tell people what to do. You can't just assume they're going to find that subscribe to your blog opt-in at the very bottom of your blog and scroll down and find it, because they won't.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Excellent. Excellent. Yeah, because I think that we overcomplicate it. We meaning everybody in business, but we're women real estate agents. And so we're thinking, do I really want to take the time to blog? But I think if we just stop overthinking it.
Totally. That's where people get stuck. They're overthinking everything. And just take action, and it doesn't have to be perfect. And by the way, you can take your YouTube videos or your podcast that you're already doing, embed it on your blog and create detailed show notes or transcribe it. And you don't have to actually be writing, but the content's still on your blog through video or whatever.
Gotcha. That's excellent. When you talked about optimizing, is there any secret to optimizing before you pin something, optimizing the content other than what we've already talked about?
Yes. So we use this plugin called Social Warfare. And so within Social Warfare, you can actually put the Pinterest description that you want people to use when they click on this to share it. So when I click on this, it's going to pop up with the pin that I selected and the Pinterest description that I already wrote with the keywords that I want to use and the hashtags too. And so when somebody pins it, it's already optimized. Social Warfare, it's free. Hey-o.
Hello. Oh my gosh. Okay. The value of this podcast is worth, like, I don't know how many thousands of dollars. So
it's a lot. Yeah.
I'm like blown away. And this just shows the ladies your heart. And I'm going to end with saying I am thrilled. My sister and I are thrilled beyond anything we could say that you are going to be speaking from the main stage at She's Unstoppable Live 2019, our inaugural nationwide conference happening outside of DC, April 9th and 10th. So, we can expect more of the same, right? From your talk, Rachel?
Totally. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, I could ask you 10,000 questions, but I think it's time to get back to France. Now, where are you in France? I mean, I'm so jealous.
We're in Le Mans. It's 2 hours southwest of Paris.
Oh, wow. Parlez-vous le français?
Oui, je parle français.
Of course. All right, Rachel. Well, listen, thank you so much for your time. I'm just blown away with your giving heart and all the wonderful content and valuable content that you've shared today. And I can't wait to meet you in April.
I'm so excited too.
All right, Rachel. Thank you so much, ladies. We'll see you again next time. Take good care. Bye-bye.